speaker this week, Kyra Beamis. Really cool. So thanks for being here.
It's actually one last name.
She's our cheerleader, our boss, our coach, our awesome leader. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for. So that is part of my little slideshow. So I'm going to hit that down arrow and take your seat. Okay. Okay. So, like I said earlier, I'm the CEO for Keller Williams and Coeur d'Alene. I've been with Keller Williams for 4 years now, in this role for about 2. Before that, I was actually the general manager for Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was at Applebee's. So I have almost 25 years of restaurant background. And then I decided to wonderfully get into real estate because I was sick of working 50, 60 hours a week. I did make $72,000 a year then, and I thought I was like rolling. And I was the smartest person in the room, and I get into real estate. I am not the smartest person in the room, and I did not make the most amount of money. That's changing, and it's changed, but up at that point. So when I got into real estate, I had a mentor at the time, and she said, Kate, in order for you to quit the restaurant, you need to have 6 months worth of savings in your account. I'm like, who can do that? Like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck at this time. But it was pretty awesome because God's plan was, I got a fatty tax return that I didn't expect. I got bonuses that I didn't expect, and I'm like, all right, well, my goal was in January. By August, it was my birthday, I wanted to leave the restaurant by August 7th. That was just my goal. By April, I had all that money in my account. I'm like, okay, do you know what? I'm going with it. I'm not fighting it. I'm just going to run with it. And so my biggest thing was when I got into real estate, I had went through a divorce. So I'm a mom, 2 daughters, raised them by myself. So I know that I needed to, I'm not getting that paycheck every other Friday. I needed to learn how to hustle. So I got into real estate, and my mentor at the time, she had passed away, so I started working with her son. Kevin Pickford is my business partner, and I needed to know what real estate was. So my first full year in real estate, him and I sold 48 houses together, and I sold 46 of them. I needed a hustle. I needed to figure out what it was, and I'm very systematic because restaurant, everything needs to be the same. I ran a really good restaurant, so I figured out what real estate was. So I decided, and also when I was leaving restaurant, my mentor had went back to Kevin and said, she's gonna run the office one day. Just knowing that that's just my background. I love people, I'm great with what I do. I just needed to understand this and the lingo of it all. And I also felt like going into the investment side of it, I didn't feel like it was fair for me to sit at a table and have a conversation like with Nick if I didn't have any investment properties on my own. So I knew that I had paths that I needed to take. This just happened to be it. Kind of crazy how it all started. So I went through a divorce, sold my primary house, and I was in a rental. I was in a rental property, and I'm like, I've never rented in my entire life. Like, I was 19, I bought my first house because we could do something called sweat equity. My first house was $99,000. My dad was in excavating. The guy that we moved in with was drywall. We could do so much of the work. And so I'm like, my rent is $250, so that's just part of it. So I was in a rental, and I'm like, this blows. Like, who rents? Like, I felt like my self-worth just went down. And I'm raising 2 daughters on my own. I'm like, I'm not going to set this example. So what happens is I got into this house 2 years ago is when I actually first bought it. And I bought it for, and I'll give you the details. I don't sugarcoat shit. Sorry, I cuss a lot. And I'm an open book, and you can ask me literally anything. So in January, I was ready to buy a house. Like, my business partner, I would run everything by him because he doesn't leverage himself out. He doesn't believe in that. So that was my role model. I have another guy that I talked to, John Thomas Sinclair, and he leverages himself out like Nick does. So I'm getting all the goods. So this is an amazing group when you can ask these questions. So I bought my first house. Did you guys notice that there is really pretty green carpet? The walls were pink. Like, it was ugly, but it was one owner. It's a cute little old man who lived there. But what I did was I bought it, and I didn't know that I was kind of doing the Burr method, but I just decided I was just going to do this because my family is we're a very tight-knit family, and we can pretty much do anything that's creative, handsy, craftsy. Like, so we did this reno in 45 days. So I bought this house, and we put, like, my daughter at the time was, I don't know, 10. I had a little nephew there was 4, and my grandma was 82. They're all hustling. So we just band together. Yeah, grandma, let's go. No, it was good. So 45 days to renovate it. And so I bought it for $274. And can I tell you, my business partner, he's like, what are you buying a house at $274,000? 2 years ago, that was a lot. He's like, you are maxing yourself out, just don't do it. I did it because I just kind of do what I want to do. So I did, it's just my personality type. I put $26,000 into it. I knew what it was gonna take. I priced everything out. I had my subs lined up, so the day that we closed, I knew I had a certain amount of time, because guess what? I'm moving into this thing as soon as it's done. I wanna be out of my rental property. I did put 20% down, so I saved up $58,000 because I'm hustling on the real estate side of it. So, another thing that I do is my commissions. I do take the commissions on all of my properties. Your CPA might say no, other people might say yes. You do what you need to do. The commissions that I get off of it, I furnish the inside of the homes. So it's not any money coming out of pocket, it's just money that I'm going to receive, so I pay, that's how I furnish it. So I know I have an $8,000 budget to get this house pretty and ready. However, when it was pretty and ready, it was gonna be my personal property. I'll get into why it's more off. This last year, I did Air BnB this one because I moved out of it, and I have like a whole little spiel that you guys are just gonna have to follow. But my mortgage payment on this is $1,200, which is, I mean, it's pretty much nothing. You average out the nights. But for Air BnB, I'm missing a number. Oh, no, it's in there. I made $48,000 on this one property last year. Airbnb is a huge thing. Airbnb is amazing. And a lot of it is your 5-star review. I host all my own houses. I clean my own houses. It's a shit show, but I do it. My expenses were $17,000. So I netted $30,000 on just this one property. To me, that ROI is definitely there, and it's definitely worth it. I struggle with leverage, and I struggle with somebody else managing my properties. However, I'm at a point that I'm going to have to. So currently I have 5 houses, 4 of them are Airbnbs. I manage them all, I clean them all. I still run the office, I'm a single mom. Like, I do this shit because I have enough time in the day. It's just, it's all your mindset and all how positive you are. I put a bracelet on every day that says get shit done. Every day. That's my affirmation when I walk out the door. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So right now, these numbers now are skewed. I just did this about a week ago. There's a house that listed in this neighborhood for pretty similar for $680. So, and I owe $199. I'll get into this because Nick and I had a conversation regarding the equity that's in here. I am now gonna pull out a line of credit to go buy probably 2 more properties versus using the cash that I have in the bank, because I have a 3% interest rate. And with that conversation that we had, my business partner, Kevin, he's very conservative. He's pulling out a line of credit too. That's a huge win because he usually doesn't do stuff like that. Yeah. So if you guys didn't know all of the stuff that I just told you, so my first full year, I got Realtor of the Year. I just know how, I figured out how to hustle. I thought real estate was how I was gonna make all of my money. And at one point somebody said, real estate is just a vessel to do what you're gonna do next. So not knowing that, now I'm like, okay, I'm hustling in real estate. Then COVID hit. Reason COVID hit, it was kind of these 2 little chicks right there, my daughters. Wasn't gonna do this. Thanks. This is the only reason I cry is my girls. And it's even stupid. Stop, that'll make it worse. Stop. Okay. But play softball. I rented out that house on the weekends to make my mortgage and to hustle and to bring some more money in. COVID happens. My house is rented out like no other. All of their softball tournaments get canceled. I'm like, fuck, there's money. I don't want to cancel these bookings. So what do? I buy the Fizbo across the street. The guy brought it up, like he put it on the market, and I literally went and stalked him. I'm like, hi, I live there. You're going to sell me your house. I mean, it was like, he was like, I'm very upfront if I need to be. Like, you're just going to do this. So literally this house is across the street. So I'm like, I can do this exact same layout, exact same floor plan, exact same literally everything. So I did pay $313 for this one. A lot more, but I knew that I was gonna I only paid $25,000 on this one because he left the fridge. Yes. So I knew what my reno was gonna be. But my thing is my 20% down. I have a thing in my head, and this is where Nick and I disagreed, is Once I get about 80 grand in my checking account from my commissions only, I do multiple checking accounts. That's just what I do. When I get 80 grand in my checking account for just my commissions, I know I can go purchase another house. Financially, I'll be stable for it. So I was ready to do this, and it happened to be at the good time because I truly needed a place to live. So I did the exact same thing across the street. Unfortunately, it was not as fast. We moved into that as we were doing it. I would definitely remodel and rehab before you ever move into the property because that was a pain in the ass. But again, $9,400 in commissions, so I was able to furnish a house. My daughters think it's pretty sweet that they can move into every house and redecorate an entire bedroom. So we each pick a new room, each house has a theme, and it's a family event. So last year, again, this mortgage is $1,269. I only rented it out for part of the year because after I bought this one, I moved. I like to move. Not anymore, but I like to move. So I made 25 grand on this house, and I only rented it out for 5 months because I lived in it for the first 5 months. Airbnb is my friend. I like Airbnb.
Are you running Airbnbs longer term, maybe 2 days or?
So I do a two-night minimum. Total preface right here, read your HOAs because I didn't, and you can't do 30-night or 30-day minimums. Like, you have to have 30 days. I'll let the HOA give me a $100 fine if I need to. I did, for the winter time, I did rent it out to a traveling nurse. She paid one person for 3 months. She paid $3,500 a month to live there, which is amazing. Again, the short-term rentals versus the long-term rentals, I get eyeballs on my properties every 3 or 4 days. They stay clean. They want their 5-star ratings. They don't want me to talk crap online, and I wouldn't. I mean, it's more a side conversation, but they want that, and they leave the house clean. When you've rented it out for a year, now you have to go in and replace all the floor. All of your net profit that you just made, now you're buying new flooring. So that's why I'm an Airbnb. I like that side versus the long-term. My business partner only does long-term. So yeah, it's 2-night minimum, but I do have like a house in Hayden, I'll show you. Gentleman, he's going to line school in Rathdrum, and it's $299 a night, and his parents booked it for 60 nights. So I mean, that'll pay my mortgage for a while on all my properties. So I no longer pay my own personal mortgage. I'm completely debt-free because my Airbnbs pay for all my personal properties. Did I answer that question?
Are you just full-time cleaner now?
I feel like it. That's why I'm talking to hopefully leverage it out. I have a system down. Like, it takes me an hour to clean a house. I flip totes, I go in. Again, very systematic. Like, I can clean an entire house in 1 hour. So, and then my kids, I pimp them out too. Just kidding. My good helper left.
Did the traveler book on Airbnb too?
Yes. So the thing is, like, they've had side conversations. Hey, do you want to not book on Airbnb and I'll just Venmo you money or pay? I like the insurance protection that you get on Airbnb. So I prefer, it's going to be more fees for them. It's going to be more expensive for me, but I'd rather it be on there just because it's covered. So again, on this one, I owe $550, or just kidding, it's worth roughly $550. Again, it's the exact same house as the other one that just listed for $680, so I'm watching it. And I owe $248. So I will take out, I can have another line of credit option on that one. Okay, and then I decided to buy a cute little cabin on Hauser Lake. I bought it as soon as my parents closed on their property, so they actually lived in this house for a little bit. So little cabin on Hauser, it's 578 square feet, full of wood, which it's not my jam. So my mom moved in. I paid $310 for the property. My parents lived there rent-free, and they did all the work on it, so there was no out-of-pocket for either. I just paid my mortgage, and I'll get into that. And I did, again, 20% down because I had more money in the bank to buy something. Again, this is just my personal way of doing it. It's not right, it's not wrong. But I do have a very good relationship with my CPA, which actually I'm about to switch, and my Edward Jones guy. We continuously have conversations. I map out my entire year, knowing that like this year I'll buy 2, possibly 3 more properties. Again, $9,300 to furnish. It's a 578 78-foot square cabin. You don't need $9,300 to furnish it. This is my favorite property that I have. $1,253 a month, and I made $35,000 in 9 months on a cabin that sleeps 2 people, that they never trash it, that's never disgusting. Like, fortunately, I've never had any Airbnb horror stories. So again, it's just something that I keep adding to it.
What's like or how many bedroom bathrooms is
Okay, I like smaller ones because I don't want multiple families staying there. So my Hauser property, it's a 1-on-1. It's 578 square feet. I have 2 in Coeur d'Alene that are 3-2s. I have 1 in Hayden that's a 2-2, and I have 1 downtown Coeur d'Alene that's a 2-1. So they're all smaller properties. I don't want to clean after families. That's just my thing, because I don't have the time. Again, I paid $450 for this, or it's worth $450 and I owe $246. So I mean, real estate can like change your net worth. In the last 2 years, I'm officially a net worth millionaire because of my properties. I didn't ever think that was possible. That was on my bucket list, was one of my first things, and it's definitely going above and beyond that. So I waited a handful of months and then I bought a house in Hayden Lake. It's a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath place. It was cutesy inside, but not super cute. And then so we moved out of the Bentwood house into this cabin. I like to live in them first, so I know that when somebody goes to stay there, they're gonna have every amenity possible. The kitchens are stocked, the bedrooms are good, the towels are there. I mean, I truly, if I were to live in that property, this was a big leap of faith. I actually offered $610 for it. It came back and we were under contract at $610. The appraisal was $575. The sellers came down to $575, so I feel like it was a win, but it's still $575,000. Again, 20% down. I did come up with that. I put it down. $17,000 in commissions to furnish it. I thrift shop, not thrift shop. I buy nice stuff, but I didn't use 17 grand. My mortgage is $2,500 a month. I've had my first guest was that guy who he's staying right now for 60 nights. So we'll see how that one does. I think it's pretty awesome. It's worth $650. I bought $575. Just again, the equity that continues to go up. This is my newest little house. I closed December 29th, and it's down in Sanders Beach. I've always wanted a Sanders Beach house. However, it's a shit show right now because nobody's renting it, and it scares the crap out of me. Like, it's weird. It's in the area. Yeah, so you can walk to it like a block away, but I stalk people's Airbnb schedules, and nobody's booked right now. So it's just not me. I don't know. Like, I don't think people are traveling right this moment.
But
Fuel prices probably.
What?
Fuel prices possible.
Fuel prices could definitely be part of it. Here's the thing is though, my summer calendar for them, $299 a night, and it's booked the entire summer. So it's just April and May. So I'll just dollar cost average it out. I bought a cute house that was already done that somebody already rented, probably like this team could have done, and I didn't have to do any of the stuff on the inside. So that's why I felt like it was okay to pay a little bit more versus doing hands-on. Again, I did 20% down, 18 grand in commissions for furnishings, and then again, this is my first month, but my mortgage is $2,300. I'm about all in on this property for $2,500 a month, so I know that I need to book so many nights out of that. So
you're very far south on 15. I mean, it's a very expensive house for not a lot of square footage.
oh, it's not. It's like 1,100 square feet. Okay, my biggest thing is everybody saw that it was on 15th and instantly like, I'm not gonna buy it on 15th. But if you go on 15th on the south side, I like this neighborhood. My big thing is when I drive by these is, again, I'm single with 2 daughters, would I feel safe staying there with my kids? And so it was this good street and I said, okay. This one is more of a long-term play, knowing that the Sanders Beach area will completely increase in price.
Oh, yeah.
I'm banking on that on this one. The other ones, not necessarily. So I mean, it is. There's a lot of new construction, and the only reason I know that I had a client and we walked through probably 7 or 8 properties from the 1.5 to the 2.3 million range within a block of where I'm at. So I know that it will increase, and I know that. So the golf course and all that maintenance area, they're actually going to put a tower there that's related. So it'll bring a lot of the business down that way too. It's part of the resort. Yeah.
So what's going to be in the tower?
There's going to be a tower down. Okay, so you know where the maintenance is for the Coeur d'Alene, the greens and all that, and those like shops that are there. They're going to take those out and they're putting a tower right there.
What do you mean a tower?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like?
It's going to be a mixed use, so it's going to be
Restaurants and all.
That lot, and it's going to be the first 3 floors are going to be kind of mixed use business, and then above that's going to be
kind of like bakery by the lake and all that is. It's like that. Yeah. So I know that business will end up in that side. So this is more of a long-term play versus not.
Business, office, and then residential.
Yeah. So I've already grown equity in this house, even though I've only had it since January. I mean, it's went up 25 grand in just a short little time, which is just the stupidest thing of life, which, whatever. And I owe 449. The end, it's not really the end because that was the rest of my slideshow. But and here's the thing is, I've always thought I've had to have 20% down. That's what I needed. Well, we did a team meeting and I obviously allowed Nick to use my properties, and he's like, dude, you were like, he leverages himself out. I don't have that comfort level. However, we talked about the equity line of credit, talked to the lender, and we'll do a line of credit. I mean, I have money sitting there to buy another property, but with this way, I can probably buy 2 more.
What's the interest rate on HELOCs right now?
It was about 4%, and correct me, lenders, if I'm wrong, but that's what, when Kevin called, that's what he said.
Why are they so low compared to?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at
Line of credit. Yeah, that's like me. Line of credit. HELOC.
They vary a
Prime,
lot
yeah.
depending on where you get them from, and if they have an intro rate. A lot of them will have like an introductory rate for the first 12 months or so, and then they'll scale. But HELOCs are usually tied to an index that's going up because interest rates are going, other markets going up, so you're going to probably see those going up higher. But
And he said, when Kevin made the phone call, it was prime plus 0.5% with no extra fees.
Yeah.
So if I can do a 4% versus doing it in a whole nother traditional, because all of my interest rates are under, what, it was 3.5%. It was the high, like,
They base it off of your current interest rate?
no, it's whatever prime is, because it's an investment property.
yeah.
You see a big increase in prime
Yeah.
going up, so
Yeah.
you can get a fixed rate on that, might not be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know.
Percent rate is lower than a fixed rate.
First trustee. And you have traditional mortgages on all of it.
Yeah, so the lake property is my second home, but how I purchased them, it was my, say that again?
The standard mortgage is 30 years.
Yeah. Because what I was doing with, like, say my very first one is I had, say, an extra 30 grand into that account because, again, I have separate accounts for everything. I was just taking all that extra money and just paying off the mortgage. Well, I learned all these reasons why you shouldn't completely pay off the mortgage, so I'm rerouting those funds to a different account, and then it makes sense because I didn't realize the liability that you have if your house is completely paid off and it's used for an Airbnb. Now there's nobody in first position, and
About the liability that you have if you do pay.
well, this was a huge thing, and this is just something that you could probably speak to more than I can, but if you don't have somebody in first position, i.e. a bank or a lender or whatnot, say you get sued, all of my properties are in their own LLC. So if they come after me, if there's somebody in first position, they have to go through them. But if I own it outright, they're coming right after my property. There's no legality like to it. So it's honestly good to have a small mortgage on all of your properties. Didn't know that because I wanted to pay them off. That was my goal. I didn't either. We had a great discussion at our team meeting that was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Fannie Mae has a better lawyer team than you could probably get.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not going to let anybody get it. So I'm like, okay, instead of paying that 30 grand off that I just sent a check in for, I should have done something else with. Yeah. So it's nice to be able to have those conversations because you learn so much about it. I mean, Joe and Amanda, another gal in our office, you want to talk about?
Cost savings.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this last month a little bit. As you're doing your taxes, if you bought a rental property, you can do a cost segregation study, and it completely speeds up depreciation for the things that wear out fast, and it saves so much money. I was looking initially at paying like 60 grand this year, and now I'm paying 4 grand this year because I did it on a few properties. A lot of people get money back from doing it, so it's just, and her CPA was like, that's just for commercial buildings. And we're
Yeah.
like,
So that's why I just said I'm switching CPAs, because if my CPA didn't even know that, I'm like, dude, you're getting paid to tell me this stuff. I shouldn't learn from agents in my office. But that's why we have these conversations all the time, is because learning stuff like that.
And I'd like to give a shout out to Sheena for all that. I switched over to her after watching her presentation at your meeting down in Coeur d'Alene.
yeah, that's whose number I just gave to Kyra.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Saved me so much money.
That's good. Well, I'm gonna call her tomorrow.
Yeah.
Listen, that only matters if you're gonna sell it, right? Because then you have to do the.
Yeah, if you're gonna sell it, don't do cost seg study. This is for, I'm gonna keep this forever, because you will have to pay that recapture, whatever it is. But if you're gonna keep it forever or 1031 it, then it could be a really great way to save money on taxes.
And mine are in the long run, they're going to be my mailbox money so I can retire and leave. So I mean, I have a goal of 7, but I mean, who knows where it's going to go. It is addicting. Like, it's like totally awesome to do. So, and I'm able to do it. So yeah.
So I want to go back to the part about you having a mortgage just to have another person named on a lawsuit. From the insurance point of view, it comes down to who's culpable. So if you're the one responsible for maintaining the property, and then somebody comes on and slips and falls on your driveway because you didn't, snow plow properly, whatever.
Yeah.
The mortgage company's not going to be responsible for that. So
No, but they're like, if you go to sue me and the mortgage company's in first position, they can't ever get I can't go bankrupt on that house because it's going to have to go through the mortgage company before it comes just straight to me.
But like, if you only have, I don't know, 30 grand in equity as opposed to like, whatever, 100 something, like, all that's liable is 30 grand, or all they can go after is 30 grand and sold in that LLC.
But you're losing 30 versus 180.
Yeah, or something like that. There's
But if let's use your example. Is it okay if we do this?
Yeah.
Well, let's use your example, $30,000 of equity and it's a $100,000 medical bill that they want to come after you for. They'll take the $30,000. They don't have any chance in heck of getting it from the mortgage company, the rest of it. So they're going to go after your other assets. They're going to find ways to go through.
But then they have to pierce the corporate veil.
And then and you have to be careful when you have, and I'm not a tax accountant, but I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express one time. So you have to be careful when you have LLCs and you're the only person on the LLC because now they go, okay, this is really you. They've actually been able to break the corporate
Like,
veil.
when you set up an LLC, you should have a separate bank account, you should be, what do you call it, manager, managed, and like have, this is the delegated manager, and instead of listing all the owners on it, there's ways to do it so that it provides more
Of a safety net.
protection. Actually hiring a registered agent instead of doing it my way and the registered agent. But
Yeah.
Well, the question I have is,
Yeah.
you could sub that out, any work done, that way if there's any accident, it would be on.
And you're like, say you came and fell a tree. Yeah, it'd be on you, not me. Yeah. But here's the thing is, that is my struggle, is I might be a control freak, so I like to do those things. I don't like to leverage myself out. However, I'm at 4 properties. I'm at this point too busy to manage those 4. I can do the bookings, but yes, I'll need to get if I do 5, 6, and 7, I will have to have somebody, and then they should have coverage. I mean, there is a long, yes. Yeah. Unless it's just basic, they drowned, yeah.
do you actually insure them as an Airbnb, or do you?
Yeah, so that was another thing. So my insurance gal actually just switched, and they have a policy that is an Airbnb policy, like a short-term rental that's fully furnished, because before it was not. So through Airbnb, there is, I believe, still the renter's policy.
You can pay an extra fee to them and they'll have a certain coverage.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that may invalidate your personal insurance on it. So because you can't double insure anything.
Right.
So
the house that I have, though, I mean, all the houses are on their own policy, and they know, I mean, I'm very upfront with the girl that, hey, it is an Airbnb, it's a short term, that's what it is. But then I also have an additional umbrella policy for $1 million over everything for that, just in case. And then, so here's another thing too, is on your personal properties that you have, because there's so much equity into them right now, are you underinsured? Are you overinsured? You should really, honestly, we tell our agents all the time, do a care call. If you need a reason to call your agents or whatnot, call your insurance person to make sure that you are covered. We just have,
Call you, just say.
yeah, they should, yeah.
And with values increasing the way they are,
Yeah.
probably the majority of people are under.
Yeah.
it's not just the value of what it would sell for, because that's obviously going up.
Yeah.
It's the cost of rebuilding it. They have gone up 23, 25% 2 years in a row.
So it is something that we talk about, but you actually have to like put into your calendar and call your insurance person because of this. So I do it. I mean, I talk to my insurance gal, same as my Edward Jones and my CPA. I mean, it's part of my circle of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir.
You mentioned you manage your own properties, right? Do you only do your own properties or do you manage others?
Heck no, I do mine only. I have had that asked, but we do have a couple. We have an agent in our office, and then we have, it's called Air CDA. I think she just changed her name. Air hosting, yeah. Stacy, and she's awesome. She can even, you can call her and say, hey, I have this address. What's it gonna net me or make me for the year if I want to purchase it as an Airbnb? She'll run the numbers, tell you the occupancy rate, tell you what you can charge per night, and she's pretty spot on.
She spoke last week.
Yeah, she was in Coeur d'Alene.
David, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I would look to a company to do it unless it's something that you really want to do.
I'm just curious, if you list a property on Airbnb, are you also able to list on VRBO? or-
Yeah, so I've built a platform for each house on each website, but I do have them linked. So say if somebody books on my Airbnb website, it's gonna talk to my VRBO site to say it's booked, so you can't double book. But yeah, and apparently you can somebody booked off of Expedia the other day and got my house. So it's all out there and it's all part of it, but yes, I do. And here's the thing is, I like Airbnb better because it charges the consumer less, service fees or whatnot. The people who book on VRBO are more assholes than the people on Airbnb. It's so weird, but I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a great stay. Like, it's just the personality type. It's so funny, you can kind of tell who they're
A lot
gonna
of
be.
Canadians come to VRBO.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they're just very nice.
And they're
I don't know, but yeah, you can book on both. And here's the thing is, like, I change my prices on VRBO, but not Airbnb to see what I mess with them to see what kind of money I can get. Because I can, it's apps.
You clearly like Airbnb and VRBO, so what's one thing you would change about that platform to make it better?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm pissed off right now at them because I technically lost my superhost status. You have to do so many metrics to do certain things. So my cancellation rate is 1.3%. I've canceled 2 people, so I have 115 reviews. 5-star reviews, they're great reviews. They canceled it because VRBO and Airbnb, the calendars weren't syncing, so I canceled 2 stays at 2 different times, and I'm not a hostess because of that. And in my opinion, that was on their end. So we're working on fixing it, but other than that, like, all the metrics are perfect. That's
Or financial incentive to be a superhost?
you get pushed to the top.
Okay.
Like if somebody's going to search,
so
here's,
organically, if they look in your area, you're at the top.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. But here's the thing, you can also go in and read the reviews on everybody. So I mean, you can base it on your own, but they push it to the top. Or if you sign up to start on Airbnb, they give you an option to give the first 3 discounts. Do it, because they're now know that you're bought into that system, and I think they push you to the top that way too. So yeah.
Do you use like AirDNA or Rabu or anything to help you figure nightly rates or?
No, a lot of it's trial and error. I mean, that first one was like my big baby of it all to see. Now I'm pretty familiar with it. I don't, because I'm too cheap to pay for that app.
So AirDNA is really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of.
So part of it is though, I'll go in there, and if I don't have any bookings, I'll drop the price this weekend, or I'll go back in. Like, I'll set my highest price. Like downtown on Sanders, I did $299. I'm gonna let it ride for a little while, and it completely booked out. But like this week, I dropped it to $147. I just need people in there to pay my mortgage at this point. I know I'm not gonna make money, which is fine because I'm making it on the other properties.
How much time do you invest a week on cleaning, managing the properties, adjusting your rates, doing all that?
I'm gonna say tops 10 hours. Not much. I don't watch TV.
Is
I
that
clean
per
at night.
property or?
No, that's
altogether?
total. It's total. So my one preface is my mom lives about 10 houses away, or maybe 5 houses away on my Hauser property. So she'll go and clean for me. She doesn't like money. I buy her a plane ticket every once in a while wherever we go. She's my +1 when I need 4. But no, it's 10 hours. I mean, I have it dialed in. That's why I have a hard time leveraging it out and paying somebody 22 to 25%. I've already done the shit for it. Like, I just need a cleaner. So I'm actually talking into a cleaning company just to clean for me.
Would you keep the management then?
Yeah.
Keep the booking
Yeah.
part and all that?
And I think-
Do you have systems set up to run that management side of things, or does Airbnb and VRBO
Now-
essentially really help with that?
I feel like I do a lot of that because, so say if somebody booked right now, I would instantly send them a message because it says Airbnb, somebody booked for these nights, or you have to prove it, and you just go in. As soon as they book, I said, hey, thank you so much for booking with me. Please let me know if you need to know anything about Coeur d'Alene before you get here. I make it a personal message. I think when you do like the bigger sites, like somebody manages it for you, it's very like cookie cutter. And I shorthand some of us LMK. It's like, let me know. So that's how I start a relationship with them. By the time they've got here, I've already given them a list of Coeur d'Alene stuff. And it's just, I'm a native from Idaho. Like, I know what to do. Some people want it, some people don't. And then I just message through there. It's not hard. I probably, no joke, probably do 4,000 texts a day. Like I'm nonstop on my phone between my business and everything else. So I just do it, and it's all organic. There's no like routine of it all.
I know that too.
And then as soon as they leave, I don't review them until I check the property out, and then I leave them a great review. Yeah.
Do you get any real estate sales business from?
That's what I was gonna ask. Oh my God.
So every one of my houses, I have a book of stuff, and then I always have my business card, and I say, hey, because one of my things that is automatic when you book with me, why are you coming to the area? So if they're saying looking for a residence, oh, I happen to be a realtor, love to help you out. Yes, I have, which has been awesome. But then also some of our agents in our office have had guests staying in my houses too. So if I can help my agents with this, why not? I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. Like Vince just had somebody staying there for 3 months. So, but I do get some business out of it.
So can you talk about what kind of financing you got on these properties? Because most lenders don't like an Air BnB, especially not with 20% down.
Right.
What kind of financing?
So this is the weird part of how I move, and it worked for me. So my very first one was my residential. That's what I moved into. A handful of months later, and I explained, I'm very open. Like, I don't want to be the one to blame. So I'm like, hey, it's all on the table. Ignore it if you need to. My second one I moved into across the street was a legitimate, I'm moving into this one because it's going to be my primary. I'm going to rent this one out. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. Do I need to lose that? The only thing I lost was my homeowner's exemption. So I moved it to this house. So I still have this as my primary. So I'm living in this house across the street.
What did you use? Because usually they want to justification like it has a bigger garage or more bedrooms, but that was the same house.
I didn't have to write a letter of an explanation on that one, which I was kind of surprised. I moved, and I told Jeremy that's just what I do. So this was my second house. My third house was my house on Hauser Lake, so it's a second home. Because it's on a lake, it's whatever. Again, I was very upfront. I'm also going to use it as an Airbnb to make some money. So we totally did that. That was the third house. The fourth house was in Hayden. That's when I wrote a letter of an explanation saying, hey, I'm moving to Hayden. And I wrote a letter saying, hey, it's a bigger home. It's where my daughters want to live. I mean, it was just a quick little letter. So that, again, that's my primary. Yeah. So I have 3 primary loans, and I felt like I wasn't dishonest because I did move into them. I rehabbed them or whatever. Downtown house it's an investment property. So I have a 3.6% interest rate on that. So I mean, it's all legit.
So the one you said in Hauser,
Yeah.
you told them in advance it was going to be an Airbnb, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a second home because my family does, I mean, it's on the lake, it's on the water, it has a dock and all that. So that's how he could classify it as a second home.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, you didn't tell him it was an Airbnb. You said,
And I said, I'm going to use, yeah. No, I don't care. I mean, he's on my side, we're good.
we know the guidelines. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it technically is a second home because July and August, I don't have it booked out, and it's for anybody in my family, go use it. Because I get to, yeah.
Was that like a 10% down loan?
That one,
Was it the second home or
I think you said everything was 20%. Yeah,
I did,
said 20%.
I think I did 20.
You could have only done 10, because that's what I did on my Battle Bay house. But
I'll go look, but I thought I did 20. I thought I pulled my settlement statement.
As an agent, I got a second home loan, 10% down, and then I asked the seller to pay me a 10% commission and closing costs. And
Yeah, there's ways to,
by the seller.
good job.
So there's,
I think I did 20.
I don't know all the details, but there are programs available for primary and second homes that are Airbnbs
Yeah,
for lending. So
that's awesome.
if anybody has questions on that,
Yeah.
research it, but.
And a lot of it is talking to your lender and trusting them and figuring out, and seriously being honest about it. Because I mean, I don't want to do anything shady. I just want to know this is what I'm doing. Help me figure it out.
I mean, the fact that you have 3 makes me think, and I could be wrong, that if the lender finds out that they're not truly a primary, they could call that due, could they not?
They could, but as long as you make the payment, they really don't care.
I've been making the pay. I mean, they truly were my primary, and that was my total intention of living there and then moving, and then happened to do that. So I've lived in each one until downtown.
I know, but how long, like, did you have to live?
It was 6-month increments probably that I lived in them.
Okay.
I don't really, I'm confused with this session, whole talk. So if you're putting 20% down anyway, what does the bank care whether it's a primary or a secondary? You're putting 20% down.
The interest rate.
Percent up to 10 loans and you call that your own.
Well, it is the interest rates. I mean, I paid slightly more for my investment property than I did on a primary, 1% more. That's basically it's that. I mean, when I put 20% down, I mean that if they're not going to give me a loan with 20% down, that's stupid in my opinion. You're guaranteed if I default that you're getting the house and a bunch is paid off.
3 you're paying 4.
Yeah, it's not much, but I'm honest about that part of it.
I know we're running into, they want 25%, so how do you do that?
A couple of them were 25%. Again, it's each lender is different. Each program is different. Each conversation is different. Like I want to do a HELOC. Well, I use Willamette Valley Bank for all my stuff. Willamette's amazing. They're part of our office. We just do stuff. Jeremy can't do some of the stuff that I need. So then you go maybe more local. You maybe go talk to Guaranteed Rate, or you go to Umpqua, or they're all different. It's weird that they all have different loans and regulations and stuff, but they do.
So you're with Limit for a lot of them, or all of them?
All of them.
They're like a lot less investor friendly, I think.
They are. I mean, they're pretty cookie cutter. Like they want somebody who has a W-2 who's like this way, which is great for that, but the investment side of it's not as easy. A couple of them, like I think my very first one, I have a hard money guy, and he gave it to me at 6%, no points, just to get into the house because it was like bidding war at the time.
Hard money?
Yeah, he's a friend. But it was like a very short, but here's again, there's hard money guys out there that can get you in first position. I know, I'm like, hey, can I buy this and this and this? So it just happened to be a friend who has a lot of money. So yeah, but there's those people out there. I mean, there's people that will do a good faith. I mean, he understood, yeah. No, but here was part of it. It was my first house after I got divorced, and he's like, dude, if this is going to get you what you need, absolutely. I mean, it's just one of those good things that you get to do for somebody, and I was blessed that I was that person. And then it just catapulted in this. I didn't know Airbnb was going to be my thing. It just happens to be the road that I'm on right now.
So what's your biggest lesson learned? You have all these properties, killing it, you're crushing it, and moving forward. What's the takeaway?
I've put too much money into them. That's really bad to say. I mean, I now feel comfortable that I can go get a line of credit and not be completely leveraged out. But I mean, if you think of it, I've put $400,000 into 5 houses in the last, right. But here's also the thing. I put $400,000 in that. I have an Edward Jones account with $105,000 in it. Steady Eddie for the last 4 years. That just makes me want to throw up. So I'm fine with this over here. So I know that I can control this, and I know that I can make the Airbnb happen because I just get shit done. Edward Jones sucks.
You put $400,000 in, but how much in equity did you get out of it?
A shit ton. I made myself a net worth millionaire because of it. I mean, I really did, and it's still continuing to grow. Yeah. So again, I'll never pay them off. What?
And people are bearing your mortgages down. So.
Yeah. I don't. But yeah, they pay my mortgages, all of them. I don't have household bills.
Well,
so.
Things get tough, you sell them.
Exactly. Yeah. So my next steps of it all are, I mean, I know that you guys said that you wanted to buy out of state, which I've considered, and we had this conversation that, okay, do I buy out of state? I have an emotional attachment to it, and I know I need to stop that because it's a financial one. But I like to be able to see, touch, feel, know that my properties are good versus like if I have a friend who has one in Nashville. If I go down there and my place is trash, I'm going to lose my shit. So at least this way I can manage it. People keep saying, are you going to buy in this market? Yes, because it's not going to stop. I mean, it's going to stop and slow or whatever, but I'm a native of Idaho. I've seen this shit. Coeur d'Alene is beautiful. People are going to continue to come here. If that stops, there's more going on than me losing a house. I mean, and I filed bankruptcy, unfortunately. I've had a short sale. I mean, I've had shit in life. To turn into this, it's been pretty spectacular. So I'm betting on myself on this one. Yeah. And hey, buy dirt. If you can buy dirt, buy dirt. So thanks, you guys. But these guys are awesome.
Where do you buy all your furnishings for your Airbnb?
Okay, so they say big things are like Costco. I always buy my mattresses at Costco. Okay, again, single. I have a truck. I love my truck. I don't want to deliver and pick up all that shit my own. Like I'll deliver the mattresses to the thing, or to the houses. I have a way about putting everything in my Amazon cart for my kitchen. Don't diss on me because I'm shopping on Amazon. They don't have the stuff here. I put it all in my Amazon cart the day that I close. We're funded. I hit send, I buy it, 2 days later, I'm unpacking a kitchen.
Are you doing like Amazon Basics?
Oh yeah. No, it's higher end stuff. Like,
I mean like all basics.
it's stuff like, okay, here's my thought. When I'm buying a house and buying stuff, it's people are going on vacation. They don't want the same crap that they have in their own house. They want to be like, ooh, this is a farmhouse sink, or ooh, look at this stuff. So I spend money like on the couches and the furnishings, but not a ridiculous amount of money. I still like thrifty, like Midtown Market in Coeur d'Alene.
I'm gonna show you this place.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Midtown Market, favorite store. Go there every Saturday, and if I find stuff, I just start buying it because then I'll find out what my next theme on my next house is going to be. It's just part of the system that I have for it. But I don't go cheap. I don't go like silverware. It has to be nice silverware. Linens I get all at Costco because it's all the same king size sheets. They all look the same. All the houses are the same.
Makes a nice system out of it.
And so like say when I go in to clean, the way that I'm able to do it is because I go in, it's called with a flip tote, made this crap up. And it's all like, say it's one of my 3-2s in Coeur d'Alene. It has 3 sets of sheets, 2 queen and a king, and it has enough towels to switch, like, and I literally take all the dirty, clean it, put all the new in, and it's the exact same stuff. But each house is similar in that aspect, so like I have sheets at my house.
Would you drop it off at a dry cleaner or you wash it at home?
I wash it at home.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV at night, I stay busy, and the second I literally hit the pillow, I fall asleep. So I'm good. Like, I go to exhaustion, and then I'm like, all right, I'm good. So yeah. So I do all my own stuff. Not saying that's right or wrong. I'm honestly over sheets.
When you buy the couches and the chairs and tables.
So if you buy the couches or whatnot and you go say to Complete Suite, they're 8 months out. I learned that lesson. Like go into Furniture Row and say, hey, how long out? Like if you don't change the color or the dimensions of it, like I got a couch in 3 weeks. They delivered it. I pay $100, you bring it in. I'm particular about my kitchen tables. That's really stupid, but that's like, there's gotta be a focal point in each house. What's the draw? Like my downtown Sanders house, like I didn't have a kitchen table because I couldn't find it, and I finally found it's like a cool little triangle, like it looks like a guitar pick shape. And it has like high leather chairs. I'm like, that's it. It was $800. And I go to Midtown Market. I go to Rebel Junk. I go to Rebel Junk in Spokane. Like those kind of stores. And if you see it, then buy it because you'll never see it again. So that's the big part of it. And if I see it before I need it, I'll put it in a storage unit. But I just continuously shop. But I only buy it if I love it. And then my mom's awesome at decorating, so I'm like, hey, come in, you need to make it cute, put it together, because it's good. It's a good combo.
Are you looking for anything, are you looking for anything in particular when you're shopping for a house? Do you have like this idea in your head that this is what I want and this is going to make a good Airbnb in the Coeur d'Alene area?
Neighborhood is huge. Neighborhood is huge, and it also has to be something that's just different. Not creepy, crazy different, but different. Like I found a ground house that I was totally in love with, but I put a max bid in, and I'm like, okay, if it goes over, I'm not going to do it. I stick to the financial side of it. But it just has to be something that I can picture that it's cute and quaint. And then you can make it happen. Like there's one that just got listed today out in Hauser, like it's a cute little farmhouse and it's $580. I would totally buy it even though it's in Hauser because of the style that it looks like. I don't think you can just buy any house and make it an Airbnb. You can for $99 a night, but that's not fun. I want people to have an experience when they show up. What else?
All right, questions?
Motivation right there.
There you go. Get it, girl. No, it's, yeah, you're welcome.